Ladies and gentlemen, football fans of North Central Ohio, you are now entering the Friday Night Pigskin. So get strapped in, lay some tide and get right for big hits, top plays, and highlights. All coming your way from under the Friday Night Lights. The most exciting sounds and sights, gridiron action to serve your viewing delights. Let's go. Friday Night Lights. Get hyped. It's Friday night. Friday night. Friday Night Lights. Get hyped. Get hyped. Here we go now. Friday night. Friday Night Lights. Get hyped. It's Friday night. Friday night. Friday Night Lights. Get hyped. Get hyped. Here we go now. He's at the 10, the 5, touchdown. Throws it over the middle and he gets absolutely sauced. Friday Night Lights. Get hyped. It's Friday night. Friday night. Friday Night Lights. Get hyped. Get hyped. Here we go now.
3 and out would go a long way here for St. Paul.
Snap back, quick hitter, right side. It's going to be caught by Devin Wendt and run out of bounds after a gain of 7.5.
Taken out of bounds on the play by number 21,
Winford 6, East Knox 6 in the first quarter. That game live and free. Doughton 14, Highland 7 in non-conference action. Wow. Madison 7, River Valley nothing in the first. Harding and Ashland scoreless. Pleasant and Hopewell Loudon tied at 8. That's a big early season contest, especially after Hopewell Loudon went to carry and went late. Big hole up the middle.
Goodness.
Right
He's
side.
gone.
Blatnick, goodbye. See you later. No flags on the play. It's a touchdown. 66 yards.
What is up, America, and welcome inside of week 2 of the Friday Night Pigskin, presented exclusively by Spherion, Mid-Ohio. The high school football scene all around North Central Ohio certainly starting to heat up out there, quite literally. There were crazy, unseasonable temperatures all over the state today, so kids were grinding through it. We had some awesome outcomes, some big-time plays, some highlights, and you just saw about half of the Norwalk St. Paul versus Edison game right there. You can check out the entire thing right now on our Facebook. But some coaches were actually pretty smart. They knew that the heat was coming in, so they got their action in yesterday, which is where we are going to begin our highlights over in North Robinson. Richmond Heights on the road at Colonel Crawford, looking to go 2-0. Let's show you how they did it right here and now. And after a cancellation, Crawford would add Richmond Heights, and they would start off with some early action. How about this? Peyton Baker hands it off to Connor McMichael, and he knows what to do with it. All the way into the end zone. It's 7-zip CC early on. Richmond Heights then fumbled, which was retrieved by Crawford to put them on the 5-yard line, and that's when Rowan Thu would take it into the end zone. It's 14-0 now, and deja vu. Richmond fumbles again. It allows Crawford to get the rock back. They would get into the end zone. It's 21-0, and then Crawford would take over on downs. Peyton Baker here is going to find Lucas Foy for a 42-yard throw into the end zone coming up. That's going to make it 28-0, and the route was on basically from the very beginning. There it is, over the top of the defense, getting back behind them. Foy had an absolutely huge game, getting some high fives out there by the Eagle faithful. And then after getting stopped on the 1-yard line, Foy again would make something happen, but it's going to be Brayton Holt getting in on the rushing to make it 35-0 here at the end of the quarter. Both Baker and Foy, the combo, would again combine a 20-yard touchdown. Extra point was no good. It was 41-0 Crawford. A sack from Crawford's Braden Fox would lead to another fumble, allowing Dominic Dean to trot into the end zone, closing out the half 48-0. And that's exactly where the score would remain. They would call off the Dogs after that because they've got one of the best head coaches here in the entire area, and so generous to stay up late with us and hang out. Mr. Jake Bruner we've got on the line right now. And Coach, no game again here on a Friday. How did you end up spending your evening?
Went and watched East Knox play Winford tonight. Saw a good ball game there. Howard.
So doing a little bit of scouting, obviously great scheduling by you. You've got 4 home games in your first 5, but you do get to travel down to Howard coming up this next week. You know, how does the game planning process, preparation maybe change for you a little bit to get ready for a road environment?
Well, we obviously got an extra day, with that. So, get to see a team live and get to see a team on Friday night is pretty fun for just the atmosphere. And that's a great atmosphere down in East Knox. Great place to watch a football game, and gives us a little extra day to see them live. And we saw a great game tonight.
104 points for your guys for the first couple of weeks, and looks like the new guys in their starting roles really starting to adjust and look pretty good. How impressed have you been offensively with what you've been able to do through 2 weeks?
We've been really happy. Obviously, we're going to face a better opponent this week with East Knox, and take nothing away from Richmond Heights. They're building a program, and Hannibal River had to make it tough travel up to us. And, like I said, we know that we're going to get East Knox's best effort this week, and they're a good football team, and they're very physical in a tough environment. So we'll have our hands full with, their quarterback and their running back, and a lot of the players that they bring back from last year.
Last couple of years, Coach, you've been a little bit more of a ground and pound style of team. You've been wearing on them with your defense, which looks like they're stout again this year, but it seems like you've got a few more weapons out on the perimeter. We showed Lucas Foy. Obviously, you got McMichael and Baker slinging it around to everybody. Has the offensive analogy, or just kind of how you guys are attacking opponents right now, is it a little bit different with all these new cast of characters getting involved?
Yeah, we want to be more balanced. I mean, in the last couple of years, it just seems like, we had to play to the strengths of our team. And unfortunately, that's what we did. We want to be more balanced and be more multiple. And, we've got some young skill. They're still coming along, but, we like them, and we just want to continue to get better so we can, hopefully make a deeper playoff run.
I got to imagine this is the only time in your career that you've had 2 games on a Thursday night. Has it been kind of weird starting off the season this way, Coach?
It has been, not really what we envisioned it being like, but you roll with the punches. Last year we had 4 home games. This year we have 6. We were pretty close to going to Michigan or Pennsylvania to play a week 2 game, and when Richmond Heights called us, and it was great to have another home game for us, but it's been a very weird situation. It kind of not gotten in the flow yet, with the season, because Thursday night's kind of fun, but Friday night's pretty special.
And of course, now we got a holiday weekend coming up. There's not going to be any school on Monday. We got Labor Day on the way, so it can't be all football. All work and no play makes Jake a dull boy. So what are you going to end up doing this weekend to ensure that you got a few smiles as well?
Well, we'll get some pool time in this week, and some relaxation. But we're gonna labor on Labor Day. I can tell you that. So we got a big week ahead of us.
All right, thanks so much for staying up with us, Jake. Continued success out there. We'll be down in Howard checking out your game coming up next Friday night.
Yes, thanks for all of OH.Report's coverage of high school sports. Thank you.
All right, our pleasure. Jake Bruner, head coach of the 2-0 Colonel Crawford Eagles. And, I've got a guy with me right now, Joshua Banks, who's got a kid over there at Crawford. And this team, a lot of question marks, I think, going into week 1. They answered a lot of those. And now 2 weeks into the season, they look like maybe the best team in the N10 from top to bottom. They got a lot of different guys that can get the football. And then defensively, they've been great as well.
Their toughest competition starts the season 0-2 while they go 2-0. Crawford's going to be a lot of fun to watch, but I think Kirtland, the defending Division 6 state champions, are going to be fun to watch the rest of the year too. And they went to Ashton Crestview Thursday night, dominated them 42-6 the final. We're going to go ahead and look at those highlights now. And it's going to come out the gate with Kirtland scoring early and often. You're going to see here, fakes out all of the defense. Quarterback Jake Laverd's going to throw a touchdown pass to his tight end, Nico Samick, and they're going to connect multiple times on the evening. Another pass. He evades everybody. Stiff arm, roll out, and I don't know about the college level or the pro level, but we don't want to see a quarterback throw across his body. But there's Samick again, another touchdown, and it's going to continue as you're going to see a sack here. It's going to lead to a scoop and score. It's 21-0 Kirtland. and the route was on from this point. As now you're going to see quarterback Laverde. He's going to fake the inside handoff, fakes out the whole defense again, takes it 92 yards up the right side of the field for a touchdown. It's 28-0, and I think they're starting to tune up the buses for Kirtland to head home after this route. You're going to see another rushing touchdown here, or passing touchdown, I'm sorry. That's going to be the backups. That's true freshman Lonker to true freshman receiver getting some playing time on a Friday night in a tough environment.
Oh, there we go, Cougars.
Crestview punches it in late in the fourth, and a huge learning curve for them that they're going to have to really figure out is how do we kind of take care of business against these big dogs that we put on our schedule.
Yeah, it kind of came together last minute, of course, and you really got to credit Steve Haverdale and his staff for even taking on a Kirtland team. They have one loss in the regular season over the last 7 years. They're defending state champions, Josh. From what we've seen, our own eyes here just last night, probably got the pieces again to probably repeat.
Yeah, they're definitely the favorite. They put up almost 100 points over 2 weeks. They put up 53 last week, 42 against Crestview. They're the favorite, but again, looking on Crestview's side, let's hope to see improvement from them for the rest of the year. I know we're going to cover them a lot. We're going to do a lot of things for the Cougars, and we want to see them keep getting better and continue to improve as they have the talent there in Cougar country.
Yeah, 0-2 out of the gate. Some pretty good competition, though, so far for Crestview on the schedule. But not that long ago, back-to-back 10-0 seasons, and this was a team that was right on the precipice of not necessarily being like a Kirtland, but getting to the stages of the tournament where you get to take on a team like them. So even if it's not for this particular group, Josh, just getting an opportunity to see what that looks like and compete against the very best, this can only be a good learning experience for Crestview all the way around.
Yeah, absolutely. The young guys got some playing time. They got a chance to see what it took to compete against a team of that magnitude, and that just allows for more growth as the season goes along. When you face some of the teams that aren't of that level, you'll be able to excel a little bit more, and your big-time conference foes that you're going to have coming up, you're going to be prepared for because of who you played in the preseason.
No question about it. All right, now let's flip the page here. Let's move on to a highlight. Two teams that have played each other in the regular season a whole bunch here lately. This is the fourth consecutive year that Hillsdale and Lucas have locked horns with one another in the regular season, all of them coming in week 2. And last year, it was Hillsdale breaking through after a couple of nail-biters. They got the win. We'll show you right now if they were able to get it done back-to-back seasons. Never an easy place to win on the road at Bob Wine Field, as mentioned, for a 4th straight year. And a bad transfer here to the ball carrier. The Falcons fumble would give Lucas the ball in plus territory. They would not do anything with it except for pin the Falcons deep. And how about this? 3rd down and long, and Kel Lewis finds Brock Bauer. Dude's going to take it 68 yards, burning down the sideline. Of course, eventually they are going to catch him, but we'll set up a touchdown coming up here. This is beautiful stuff. How about Lewis rolling to his left, takes the hit, and he still hooks up with Holland Young back of the end zone. It is 6-0 Falcons on the road. Fast forward to now 2nd quarter, and Hayden McFadden about to look like he's in fast forward. Burning by Cubs defenders, 50 yards all the way to the crib. It was 12-zip at the half, and you just felt like all the momentum was with the Birds. 19-0 now. Falcons bout to put a fork in them. McFadden reaching back, snares the 38-yard score, the 8th touchdown pass of the season for Lewis. The Cubs eventually would get on the board late. Dan Hawkinsmith, 25-yard touchdown, rumbles up the middle to make it 26-8. So at least they would have an opportunity to shoot off some fireworks out there in the Lucas Valley, but it was too much Hillsdale tonight as they emerge victorious. And to me, I thought that the biggest difference in this game was just the speed of the Falcons. And you just saw it there in that highlight. But I'm going to throw in the first top play nominee of the night. And it's Hayden McFadden with that 50-yard touchdown run. Because Lucas, the last couple of years, they've had some guys in their secondary. Certainly, I think that you would point to the Toms brothers and what they were able to bring defensively, where they could track you down. You weren't burning away for 50-yard touchdowns like this one. So for the Falcons to not just have him, but 3 other guys that could do that, I thought it was pretty special what they have brewing out there in Hillsdale country, Josh. So we've seen these Cubs year in, year out, and they always put up a big fight defensively. Didn't necessarily have that, I think, tonight, just in terms of the athletes. It definitely felt like they got more out physical tonight by their opponent.
Not something we're used to seeing out of Bond Webb Field Cub country is them getting beat at the line of scrimmage. That's something that we've come to know Lucas for the last 10 years is win the line of scrimmage, play power football, run power. They eat, sleep, and breathe power. And they got outpowered tonight. I don't expect to see that anymore out of the Cubs this year, but their schedule is no slouch.
Yeah.
They're going to have a lot of tough competition to play, and we're going to see what they're made of for 3 through 10 the rest of the season. Are they going to bounce back as a young squad and let some of these guys develop? Or are they going to kind of, it's a rebuilding year, let's see what we can do. I don't expect them to say that, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, great start for them. A big week 1 win. They traveled 5.5 hours in a school bus over to Pennsylvania, and they come back, and we're thinking, hey, it's going to continue to roll. Well, I think the Falcons just a little bit different breed this season in terms of the athletes. But for Lucas, maybe they don't have the same type of unit that can just line up and can do the double wing and push you around. Might have to be a little bit more multiple, Josh, and I don't think that we've seen this before where you might have to go to the drawing board, become a little bit more open-minded about what the offense can be.
Well, I think if we remember back, they were playing for a state championship not that long ago. Just in the rearview mirror, they had Logan Nicewander under center, and they changed their complete offense for that young man. He was passing leader in Lucas history, threw for numerous touchdowns his senior year, led them to a state championship game. Maybe that's where they have to go back to. They have to get out from under center, give Bobby Grover, who we talked about being quarterback, a chance to make a throw, some more time in the pocket to be able to make a big play. You don't have those wings as in the Tom's boys that we talked about previously, the Anthony Finellos, the Andrew Smollins of the past, where they could just beat you all day. Now you've got a situation where you've got to find out what type of offense you can run to be able to be successful.
Cubs are going to be heading to Smithville next week. Smithy's off to a 2-0 start. Well, a team that does have a quarterback that I think you can rely on, obviously, Big Ten recruit, Mr. Bob Penn Miller. He was in action tonight at home against a KMAC school. So let's toss it over to KMAC Trav and Madeline Cezudo. They've got your action.
Welcome into the KMAC. Well, tonight, the KMAC MOAC corner, as like Brian said, the athlete, Bogpim Miller, going up against an up-and-coming Centerburg squad. They had some playmakers last year get hurt. They're back, and they had a big Week 1 victory. Now they're heading to Ontario for the back end of a home-and-home series. Centerburg sticking with the Warriors, but Bogpin Miller, the Ohio State commit, just too much for them, Madeline.
I mean, yeah, what are you going to do? But we're going to roll the highlights, and you're going to see how it all happened. So it was a slow start for both teams in the first quarter, but Centerburg was actually the first to strike. With Blaine Ball, look at him, getting tackled, but still makes the throw for 9 yards to Jackson Bollinger. And the extra point is good. It's 7-0. And with seconds left in the first quarter, Ontario's Mason Vantelberg fights his way into the end zone, 18 yards to tie it up 7-7. And we aren't going to have any more scores for the rest of the first half. So the only score in the third half was Valtenberg again. He's got his second rushing touchdown of the night to get into the end zone, making it 14-0. And then starting off the fourth quarter, Bogpin Miller throws a 26-yard touchdown to Carter Wagoner, making the score 21-7. And later in the fourth, Miller threw a 20-yard touchdown. Grady Mucci barely made it. And then Centerburg, they're going to strike again. That is a 57-yard touchdown from Ball to Trevin Harris, and it was not able to be stopped. And Ontario answered with Miller throwing his third touchdown pass of the night of 34 yards to Clark Spearman to make the score 35-14. Centerburg wasn't done, though. They closed out the game with Ball finding Jonah Gribben for a 16-yard touchdown. And
Oh, nice move.
I know, yeah. And the final score was 35-21, giving Ontario the 2-0 start to their season.
So, Madeline, dogfight, even into the third quarter, 7-point game by Ontario. Bogpin Miller, not the best of starts in the first half?
No. I think when I was talking to some people going into this game, they thought that Ontario was obviously the favorite. Like, they thought that it was going to be a blowout. Maybe that mentality was in some of the players' heads, too. But that was obviously not the case. It was
and then
tied.
in the second half, he
played
like Bogpin Miller.
Yes, yeah, I think it's still early in the season, you know, it's the second game. Got his footing down, and when he got it down, he's unstoppable. So.
On the other side of things, what were your thoughts on Centerburg? Bogpin Miller kept punching, but Centerburg kept punching back.
I know. I thought that their quarterback, Blaine Ball, the junior, he was honestly unstoppable at times. You know, he had a few like trips, and I feel like they honestly could have scored more if he just had his footing down a little bit more. But he was a dog out there. He was great.
All right, thank you, Madeline. Warriors 2-0. Centerburg, you know, look to bounce back next week. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, our first top play and phenom winners of the season come your way right here, live and free. Friday Night Pigskin continues after this.
You have better things to do than to job hunt or scramble to find your next great hire. So let Spherion do it. We say local is our superpower because we live and work where you live and work. We know the Mid-Ohio job market, and we're locally owned. So you won't find a partner who's more engaged and literally invested in your success. If you're ready for something better, start with Spherion. Visit us online at midohiojobs.net or call 419-747-7479.
More than Crown, we are the real people behind Crown CDJR of Dublin. Every member of our sales team is dedicated to providing you an excellent customer experience.
Find the right vehicle for you and your lifestyle is a Crown Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram today, the better way to buy.
Instead of paying for some big-name spokesperson, Kasasa Checking gives that money back to you in cash rewards. In fact, you just bought me this cup of coffee. See how that works? Amazing! Free checking, cash rewards. Take back banking with Kasasa.
Welcome to Richland County's first artificial intelligence ATM. If you car dance to the song you're listening to now, I will give you $50. See, that's something an ATM can never do.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Oh, we're serious.
Gosh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. We hope your day is a little bit better today.
Yes, thank you.
Friday Night Pigskin presented exclusively by our good friends over there at Spherion, Mid-Ohio. Still tons to come here on tonight's episode, including 4 more highlights right here on this segment. And then we got a Jardy party that's going to go down at the end of the night. I know you guys are all looking forward to that. We come up with nominees every single week. All we can do is put them out there on a platter, 10 of them for our top play and our phenom. And then you, the people of North Central Ohio and the entire galaxy, decide. All of the votes came in. We totaled them up, and here are your winners. We'll begin with the top play of the week. Very close contest, but at the end of the voting, it's Jax Wenger stepping in front of the intended target. He turns on the afterburners and goes 69 yards all the way to the house at the castle. Big win for Northmore on opening night at home. Show it to you one more time. Upper Sandusky thinks they have something, but Wenger undercuts it, and he's got the speed to take it all the way into the end zone for a huge Golden Knights touchdown. So that's your top play, but who would be your Friday night phenom from week number 1? I think we got it right together. If I had my own vote, how do you argue with a kid that does all of this damage in just 1/2 of football? He only misses 3 passes the entire first half and loads up the scoreboard. Kel Lewis, welcome to the high school football ranks. His first varsity start was a phenomenal one and a huge win against Black River. He is your Friday night phenom from week number 1. And with that, I'll now turn it over to our guys. We've got Shane Young hanging out with Travis Berardi now for, in my personal opinion, on paper, the biggest game that we had this week.
Completely agree with you, Brian. You know, Gallion, a huge win over Winford in week 1, and Carey stuck with the Hopewell Loudon team that they should have won that game, but just let it slip away late. So 2 really good teams going at it in week 2, and well, it was as expected.
Yeah, so, last year these 2 teams played. Gallion came, victorious last year, but they did it again this year. Not expected out of them, at least I thought, and a couple other people did not expect that.
Surprised you then, huh?
It very much did surprise me, because, my friend, my good old buddy Josh was telling me how good this Gallion team was, and I think, that they proved it. They proved themselves.
Well, let's see what happened. So, Gallion, what did they do? How did they do this? Well, it was a close one again. 14-8 was the final.
We had no scores in the first quarter. None. We started off in the second quarter with a touchdown to Sam Evans. He, picked up a 38-yard run to the 2-yard line. Proceeded to run it in. First score. Then, towards the end of the half, Gallion, they get down. They get stopped in the goal line. And then Carey, they throw a pick at the very end of the half. We go into the third quarter, basically scoreless. I mean, the rest of this game all comes down to the fourth.
Battle.
It's a huge defensive battle. The fourth quarter, Carey scores. They pick up the 2-point conversion. There seems like there's a little bit of hope. Towards the end of the game, Alan Carver ends up scoring the final touchdown to seal this game.
Yeah. Gallion, now that you've seen them, what are your thoughts on the Tigers?
Like I said, they took care of business against Winford last week, and with a couple of doubts from Gallion, I think that this proves that they can be basically a runner-up to win the MOAC. I think this Gallion team, out of what I've seen from them, they're going to be really good this year. I'm excited to watch them, especially next week, and when I watch them play Upper, I'm excited for that game.
Yeah, Upper with a big win over Mount Gilead earlier tonight. On the other side of things, just for Carey, played 2 really good teams. This Carey team isn't what you think is a down squad. It's just they ran into 2 buzzsaws to start the season.
Yeah, the same thing happened with them last year. They played the 2 same teams, lost both games, started 0-2. So now, I mean, if the same story is told as last year, they're going to end up winning out. But we're going to have to see that in the next coming weeks.
And I mean, Carey, They dropped a game when they won the state championship early on, and then they caught fire. It's how you catch fire. They haven't even started in conference play, too, so you still got to think they're one of the favorites to win the conference.
Absolutely. I mean, Crawford, I think, is the only other team that has, it's a 1A, 1B. I think they're going to have a really good game this year. I think it's going to come down to the wire. But those are the two teams that I think that can win the N10. They're just too dominant. I think they're just really dominant.
Now, I was all the way up at Contractor Stadium in Norwalk as St. Paul took on a very good Edison squad. St. Paul down 2 of their running backs got injured in week 1. Let's see how they did against their rivals from just up the road. Roll it. Opening night at Contractor Stadium for St. Paul, taking on the rivals from only 4 miles away. But Edison, they brought their A game tonight. After a scoreless first, Luke Blatnick with the cutback. He's going to fight his way into the end zone. It is 7-0, 1 play into the second. 2 minutes later, after a flyer fumble, Bryson Whitmer out there looking like what C.J. Donaldson going to do to Penn State in their defense in about 12 hours. 18 yards. It's 14-0 Chargers. You like what I did there? After a St. Paul punt, Blatnick, he's going to show off his speed, hits the major gap up the middle, then afterburners are on. He was so hot like the metal bleachers at kickoff. Untouchable. 3 Edison scores in 5 minutes. They lead 28-0 at the break. First play of the second half, and no one wants to guard Blatnick once again on the seam route. So wide open, our old buddy Storm Blunchley could have caught it. He takes it in for his 3rd tutty of the night. Edison rolls their rivals 41-2 to stay unbeaten.
I'm sitting here watching this, and it looks like they have a 3-headed monster.
They do. They have a lot of running backs.
So I guess what I have to ask you is, out of those 3, who stands out the most on this Edison team?
Well, he's going to be my fee nominee for this week. He was also our MVP, and that's going to be Luke Blatnick because, well, as you saw in the highlights, he can run the ball. As right here, you see he runs it in from 7 yards out. He also had a 66-yard touchdown romp.
Holy smokes.
It's just his speed. He's so fast. Watch this. Right there. Afterburners. Nobody touched him. Gone. And then he can run some routes as well. The seam route that he scored for a touchdown is coming up in the next moving highlight. There wasn't anybody anywhere around him. He's able to run a very good route. Catches it there. Then again, the afterburners for the touchdown. That is my fee nominee for
like
this week.
This kid can do it all. It shows right here. This kid can do everything.
Yeah, and you know who else could tried to do everything last week, couldn't, but did this week? That is the East Knox Bulldogs going up against those Winford Royals that lost to Galleon. I'm going to send it back over to Brian Skowronki. He's got the moving pictures.
Oh, I so wish that I did. We're still waiting for those highlights to roll in, but Bryce Coder, too, also, we're waiting for him to jump on the line and tell us how everything played out down in Howard. I think my favorite small school stadium in the entire state of Ohio, Chet Looney Stadium. It is amazing. I'm excited to see Colonel Crawford go down there and get that opportunity to go head-to-head. So we'll jump forward just a little bit, and let's do a Morrow County matchup. Joshua Banks is the voice of our Morrow County games, except for tonight, because we had a radio crew over there. So one exception, but Ridgedale and Elgin, I found out a few weeks ago, I got a chance to sit down with both of the head coaches, and they said that this is a big one for them. This is the game that they circle on the calendar, so anytime you get that early on in the season, it was as hot as the weather outside, man. This was a good one.
Yeah, I think it's Marion football. Ridgedale, Elgin, huge rivalry.
Yeah.
Huge. Every year, it's huge implications on that game. The head coaches are really good friends. They probably can't stand each other the week of, but come Monday afternoon, when they don't have to play each other that Friday, they're ready to go. And you're going to see it here. Elgin's going to take care of business at Ridgedale. We're going to start off. Brennan Lockhart's going to take it in. And this is Lucas Cubs football that we're watching right here. You're going to see Lockhart take it in. 15 yards out. And again, Jet, they're going to hand it off inside. Gavin Rhodes is going to take it in for touchdown number 2. And it's 14-0 Elgin early on. Third touchdown is going to come in the second quarter as Lurkhart again is going to take it in from 12 yards out this time. His second touchdown of the evening. In the fourth quarter here, you're going to see a run by Quentin Harrison for Elgin. He's going to take it on the pitch. He's going to get the corner, punch it into the end zone. Now here to end it out, you're going to see a Rockets touchdown to no shutout at Elgin tonight as Braden Townsend punches it in from about a half yard out. 26-7. Elgin Comets take care of business against the rival. And that, we talked about the Lucas Cubs earlier in the first segment, and Elgin, we had a conversation about it. Coach Spittler used to run a clinic every year on that wing tee.
That's right.
He steps away from Lucas this year, and the Elgin coaching staff steps up, and now they run that clinic, and they put on a clinic with the wing tee tonight against the Ridgedale Rockets.
Well, if it's run right and you have the personnel for it, it's just very challenging to get prepared for. We've heard many coaches on the defensive side of the ball that come in and they're like, this is the only time of year that we're not going to see spread, that we're basically just playing football in a phone booth is what you've commonly heard it referred to as. So it looks like they've got it dialed in and they're playing pretty solid football. And both of these programs had high expectations coming into this year. And obviously this is the one that they were looking forward to. Yeah. So for Elgin, moving forward from this game, could be a special season for them in that conference that they play in where it kind of open. I feel like there's not going to be like the Waynesville Goshen of last year that kind of beat everybody and was 10-0. I don't know that there's that team, Josh. So there's potential for a team like that to, really create some chaos.
Yeah, there's potential for Elgin to make some chaos and win a conference title. And honestly, we've seen Lucas go deep in the playoffs almost every year running that offense. If they can successfully run it and continue to play stout defense, they're going to be a tough team to knock out come playoff time. On the Ridgedale side, you're 1-1. You get a home game next week against Ridgemont. I'll actually be in Ridgedale covering that game next week. You get a home game against Ridgemont, a team that's not really accustomed to being great on the gridiron. Bounce back, go into conference play, make some noise. We'll have to see what happens. But they're going to have to figure out something on the offensive side of the ball and put up more than 6 points if they want to have a chance to win the game.
The Battle of the Ridges.
The Battle of the Ridges.
Love it coming up, and that conference is so big. I mean, they play either 8 or 9 games within the league, yeah. So you're only outside of the conference just a little bit. All right, I see a dashing young gentleman now that's about to join us, Mr. Bryce Coder, who was down in one of the happiest places on earth for high school football at East Knox tonight for their battle against Winford. Mr. Coder, give me a little breakdown. What'd you think about both these teams?
Oh, over there in Knox County, always love to be there, but it was a balmy one. Definitely played into the conditions of the game as well. Some issues with grip. Saw some guys go down with some hamstring issues, some tightness, everything that comes along with that. But, it really was coming into that game. And this is something we talked about a lot on the broadcast, is good teams come back from losses, and both of these teams suffering less than ideal week one. Both of them facing really good teams, though. Winford losing to Galleon and East Knox losing to Northridge. But both teams looking to recover, and I think both teams did a really good job and found some success. You see the score here. East Knox taking the victory 25-12 over Winford, but it was really within a score, within a touchdown, the entire game. East Knox taking the early 6-0 lead over Winford in the way of a Blake Elliott touchdown, and that was good to see him get his first touchdown of the year in week one. He only had 38 rushing yards on 16 carries, so really good to see him back in full form. Had over 100 rushing yards tonight. Jackson Lester as well, really out there to impress on all fronts, both defensively and offensively. Had a pair of touchdown passes to his record. What I was really impressed by, he threw an interception that was a bit untimely, but really, literally within 2 plays, comes up with a pick six of his own on the defensive front to give himself and his team that further 2-score lead going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's really exciting for East Knox to be able to bounce back, and especially in Howard, playing at home. It's the home opener. You always want to have the good feelings and the juju going. So for this Bulldogs team, Bryce, they get Elliott going. Obviously, I think you like the quarterback. He's one of those legacy type of players. Had some older brothers play quarterback down there and do a really nice job. That 1-2 punch on offense. Does this Bulldogs team seem to you like one that can keep up with a high-scoring offense like a Colonel Crawford that's coming into their place next week?
Yeah, and they've definitely added more elements to this offense. I think last year it was kind of like a Danville look where, they're very run forward. They might throw the ball over your heads once they've kind of exhausted all their options in the run game. But guys like Dakota Cooper and Logan Clark, who are both sophomores, by the way, Dakota Cooper having several catches tonight. He had 2 in week 1, 15 yards. Logan Clark in week 1 having 4 catches for a total of 80 receiving yards and a touchdown to his record. So I actually think that this year they've added more elements to their offense. Jackson Lester definitely feels a lot more comfortable in the pocket and playing through his progressions. And, I think it's amazing that such a great quarterback like Jackson Lester, he has so much comfort in these sophomore guys who have come up time and time again for him.
Back-to-back weeks for Winford. They're away from home. They get blown out last week. A little bit better this week, but still on the losing end. Give me some type of a silver lining for the Royals. Obviously, they've got KJ along the offensive line. He is a ginormous human being. What other pieces and parts do you see out there that makes you feel like once this team gets into Northern 10 Conference play, can start scrapping together a few wins?
Anthony Evans is a fantastic runner. He route runs as well, able to catch the ball. Anthony Evans is so mean. He was able to come up with a lot of really important runs, especially towards the end of the fourth quarter when they were needing opportunities. He was time and time again, I think 3 consecutive plays, he was able to pick up 10 yards for a first down and advance his team down the field. Unfortunately, that drive culminated in an interception where East Knox was able to run out the clock. But you've got some really great runners in the backfield for you. And also, I think on the same front, you've got some fantastic receivers, guys like Jake Stover, Hunter Ralston, Maddox Engler, who are able to get up there along the sidelines, and that's especially what they love. They love running those real wheel routes or slants towards the sidelines and executing on those plays and getting those yards after catch. And I think those guys really execute in that. This is a really young team as well. A lot of sophomores on this team, some freshmen getting some playing time as well. So I think in terms of silver lining, maybe not the best season or best start to the season that you would want, but you've got a long season left. Your guys are starting to develop. They were definitely finding a rhythm in this game. I think that conditioning is going to be a point of emphasis as they go on. And of course, penalties. There were some, kind of mindless penalties. They would get to third down and be 3rd and 2, and they'd false start, and they'd be back to 3rd and 7, back to the drawing board, trying to figure out how they get that momentum back for the rest of the drive. And it, ended up in a lot of punts that really should have been situations where they were advancing the ball down the field. So I think silver lining in this is they've got all the right parts. They've got the right tools to be able to win a lot of games in the future, but putting those parts together and finding that consistency time and time again.
Bryce, you always know how to shine some bright side of life on any type of situation, so I appreciate, and I'm sure the Winford fans out there also really enjoy that little breakdown right there. So, and the best part is when it's still early like this, when you play in like the Northern 10 where you've got the 7 conference games, that's a full second season. So even if it doesn't go your way here out of the gate, still an opportunity to try to flip things around, turn it around. And amazing that it's 12:30. I mean, it's way late here, Bryce, and your hair still it's slicked up perfectly, man. How do you do it? What do you use it? I gotta know.
Well, it was a mixture of sweat, rain, and grease over in Howard, Ohio. So that's how I'm able to keep it up.
Oh my gosh,
my
man.
next stop is a shower.
Yeah, I think I got a little bit of that same ingredient up here trying to keep this hair together. Well, Bryce Coder, thanks for calling in, buddy, and looking forward to catching up with you as the weeks roll along here on the Pigskin.
Always a pleasure.
All right, we've got just one more segment left, guys, and I hope you got some energy because we are going to party when we get back. That's right, Andy Jardy joins us for the Jardy Party next.
You have better things to do than to job hunt or scramble to find your next great hire. So let Spherion do it. We say local is our superpower because we live and work where you live and work. We know the Mid-Ohio job market, and we're locally owned. So you won't find a partner who's more engaged and literally invested in your success. If you're ready for something better, start with Spherion. Visit us online at midohiojobs.net or call 419-747-7479.
More than Crown, we are the real people behind Crown CDJR of Dublin. Every member of our sales team is dedicated to providing you an excellent customer experience.
Find the right vehicle for you and your lifestyle is a Crown Crasher Jeep Dodge Ram today, the better way to buy.
Instead of paying for some big-name spokesperson, Kasasa Checking gives that money back to you in cash rewards. In fact, you just bought me this cup of coffee. See how that works? Amazing! Free checking, cash rewards. Take back banking with Kasasa.
Welcome to Richland County's first artificial intelligence ATM. If you car dance to the song you're listening to now, I will give you $50. See, that's something an ATM can never do.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Oh, we're serious.
Gosh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. We hope your day is a little bit better today.
Yes, thank you.
Just like Blake Elliott and those East Knox Bulldogs, it's time for us to party here on the Friday Night Pigskin. So I hope y'all left a little bit of energy, a little gas in the tank, because we're bringing in Andy Jardy for the Jardy Party. What's going on, man, up there on the shores of Lake Erie? How you been doing today on this fabulous but hot Friday?
Oh, was it hot out today? Like, I had to turn my air
notice or
conditioner
not?
down a little bit because I've been, you know, just hunkered down in Jardy HQ up here, keeping an eye on everything. I'm a little chilly. I had almost threw a blanket on.
Yeah, ironically, yeah, our VP, she comes walking in. She kind of looked like she'd been through it all today, you know, a couple of sweat beads, and then right before the show, she was like, "Who's got a blanket? It's a little cold in here with the AC." So
It's 70
it's
in here.
amazing these first world problems that we have and how we can just go from one end to the other. But all right, glad that you're keeping it cool out there at Jardy HQ. You've been keeping an eye on all the games from not just our area, but kind of the entire state, Andy. So tell me a few notable facts. Drop a couple nuggets on us.
Well, yeah, I know you guys had talked about them already here tonight, but is Galleon the real deal? Are we buying into the Tigers now? I mean, they go to Cary, they grind out the win, they go to 2-0 on the year. They have a shot to realistically be 4-0 when we get to Week 5, when they will host Shelby. We might have two undefeated teams playing each other there in Week 5. That could be a lot of fun, but they've shown now that they can win two different ways. I mean, they put up a lot of points in Week 1, and then you get into a defensive struggle like they had tonight. They found a way to grind it out on the win. And, yeah, it's it's impressive so far for the Galleon Tigers. I know we talked a lot last week about the KMAC and the dominance they had. They took a step back this week, but they're still 9-6 overall to start the year. Them and the MOAC both leading the area in terms of conference prestige, if you will, both above 500. The N10 and the OC struggling to start the year. Travis is all excited, of course, yes. But the N10 just 5-11. The OCC now 5-9
Yoinks.
on the early portion of the season. Branching out a little bit from our area here, Perfect Perkins. The Pirates are now 2-0. They have outscored their opponents 90-0 this season. They are doing everything right now. So you do not want to be boarded by those Pirates. They will make you walk the plank. It will not end well. Speaking of not ending well, if you play Marion local, forget about it. Can't stop, won't stop. They won their 50th straight game tonight.
Good Lord, that's a lot of wins.
Are you surprised?
Nothing. That's an impressive number. I mean,
It is.
No, but at the same time, when you break that down, at the high school level, that's insane. You're constantly graduating kids, getting new people in. They won 49-0 tonight to win their 50th straight game. So hats off to Marion local. The Northridge Vikings also now 2-0 for the first time since 2016. They got a big win over Fredericktown tonight. You think 2016? No, that was just 2-3 years ago. I mean, no, 8 years ago. So it's been a minute for the Northridge Vikings. Congratulations on your 2-0 start. And then this was the last one that I found just before we came on here. Up here in the Cleveland area, Mayfield. Oh my goodness. They were down 26-0 on the road at Elyria Catholic. Reeled off 32 unanswered points to win the stunner 32-26 and improve to 2-0 on this very young season. But it will be the fastest 10 weeks, as we always talk about.
It always is, Andy, and despite the heat, I love the comebacks. That's pretty awesome, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Marion local winning 50 in a row, and especially against the competition that they have to face in that MAC, it is mind-numbing. I've been to that town. I drove through it. I stopped. I don't know where these kids are coming from. I'm not sure what they're feeding them, but it's just working. And the Perkins Pirates, we sent one of our teams from Clear Fork up there to try to face them in week 1. Didn't go so well, as you mentioned. They have not allowed a single point yet, so those two teams, my gosh, that might be even though Marion local is D7, I think, this year, and then Perkins is probably D2. Probably a good game.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. Can we make that happen somehow? Let's make a petition and get that going. But that would be a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of poll we have.
Northridge, the 2 wins.
Yeah.
The 2 losses from the KMAC. They beat East Knox 8-7, and then beat Fredericktown by 2 tonight. So
yeah,
they're the KMAC beaters.
Did you see the disappointment on that man's face when he delivered that information?
They've got Travis's face on a dartboard in Northridge.
That's right. All right, let's turn that frown upside down now, Travis, because we've got an all-new graphic that's about to hit your TV set right now when we introduce Andy's Dandies.
Oh, look at
Hello! Oh, I love it. Look at that pose.
Oh, my.
Oh, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's
I'm
gorgeous,
so excited
ain't it?
you didn't show this to me until this moment.
Well, we had to keep this under wraps, Andy, of course.
Absolutely. And I could see why, too. Yeah, that's well done.
All right, so what? You got a 5-pack for us tonight, right?
We got a 5-pack, yep. We'll start things off. Upper Sandusky, Caleb Francis, 4 touchdowns in the win over Mount Gilead as the Rams get win number 1 for the season. Kudos to you, Caleb Francis. You saw some highlights of him earlier, but Ontario's Bogpen Miller struggled early on, but when it mattered most, he stepped up. 3 touchdown passes in the 4th quarter. Clutch. Warriors now 2-0 on the season. The game you were at, Brian, Hillsdale's Hayden McFadden.
Yep.
Did he just look so impressive on that touchdown run for 50 yards and the 38-yard touchdown catch? What a win for Hillsdale going into Lucas. Not a lot of teams go in and win the way that they did tonight, and Hayden McFadden, a big part of that. Western Reserve's Hayden Keefe, good night to be named Hayden apparently, 5 touchdown passes in a 42-14 win over Margaretta. And then my final Andy's dandy for the night, East Knox's Jackson Lester. 2 passing touchdowns and a pick 6 in a win over Winford, getting the job done for the Bulldogs as they get in the win column here this season.
A two-way player in the K-Mac, Trav. He might be one of the best. He's a big boy. Now, we've seen him. We had that dance party going on down in Howard, so he's got the big cannon. Plus, he's stealing balls away from the other team. Pretty special dude.
Yeah, and he's probably going to be one of the better two-way players. Jax Lester, our top play winner, had an appendectomy, so he's going to be out at least 4 weeks. Shout out, Jax. Hope you get better, buddy. But he was probably one of the premier two-way players, receivers, and a defensive back. But now that he's on the bench, I think Jax Lester will be maybe number 1 as the best two-way player down there in the K-Mac.
Well, speaking of the K-Mac, Andy, let's kind of wrap things up here. I know it's early. Nobody's played a conference game yet, but let's kind of see how things are starting to shake out. Starting the K-Mac tonight? Take a look at these. Only 2 teams still left undefeated. Is that right, Andy? That's right.
Yeah, Danville and Northmore sitting there at 2-0. Last I checked, Danville was up in the fourth quarter. I never did get a final score for that, but I'm pretty sure they
won
did
by 10.
end up winning tonight.
24-14.
They won by 10? 24-14. Okay, so yeah, Danville and Northmore both sitting there up at the top 2-0. And then, yeah, you kind of have everyone. It's so early. I mean, everyone's bunched there together. Loudonville, the only team here struggling at 0-2, but East Knox looked good tonight. I think I'm seeing Mount Gilead next week if the schedule that you sent out is still the most current one, but I'll get a chance to see them next week. So, yeah, it's shaping up to be an interesting race there, especially with Danville and Northmore. I mean, Northmore tonight put up, 49 points in the first half? Like, that is hard to do.
They did that. A.J. Bauer only threw for 81 yards. They did it all rushing. They had a couple kick returns. It was just all in the first half, too. They played their number 2s in the second half. It was just, they steamrolled.
That's even crazier. That's even crazier to think about if it all happened. Well, not all happened, but if a majority of it happened from running the ball too, because that would have taken more time. And just 49 points in the first half is something. It's shaping up to be a pretty good year for those Golden Knights.
I think K-Mac's going to be a fun league, but the MOAC, to me, there's going to be the most parity in this one. Andy Gallion at the top. We're like, hey, are these dudes for real? We're going to find out here pretty quickly. Ontario probably has the best athlete in the entire league, but Shelby and Brady DeVito, they've got something to say in it. I really don't feel like you can count anybody out once they get into league play, and that includes the bottom 2 feeders right now. Clear Fork's played 2 really good teams, and Highland as well. I think they're a little bit better than the 0-2 start they're off to.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're going to see these teams at the top probably stay at the top for a while too, because they don't really run into each other until the second half of the schedule. You look at Ontario's schedule here. They go to Madison and River Valley the next 2 weeks, then they host Clear Fork, and then they go to Gallion the final week of September. So you're looking at Ontario 5-0 before that matchup at Gallion, potentially. And then we talked about it earlier too, but Gallion gets, you talk about a back-to-back. You get Shelby and Ontario back-to-back, September 20th, September 27th. Both at home, though, so that's huge. But, yeah, that's gonna be a really fun 3-headed race there, I think. And it's all going to be who avoids the loss. If you're Ontario, Shelby, Gallion, who avoids the loss, outside of those teams? Who gets tripped up somewhere down the road is going to go and determine who wins this conference.
Yeah, I think Pleasant's a pretty solid squad from top to bottom as well. Travis, you want to make a way too early prediction? Who do you like? Who's going to come out on top in the MOAC?
I honestly don't know. I mean, maybe River Valley could knock one of these teams off as well. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 losses would be at the top of the conference right now. Like you said, the parity and everything. If Gallion has a perfect night against Ontario Shelby, they could beat them. Like I said, River Valley, if they're playing one of those teams at home. Pleasant's got a really good team. Harding's up and coming. You never know. They might be able to knock somebody off. So, yeah, it's going to be tough. I think my bold prediction, 2 losses will win the MOAC.
Yeah, I'll be really surprised if anybody wins it outright, though. I feel like this is one of those that you're going to have to share a couple of pieces of that pie around the league. So we'll see how it shakes out when these teams start going head-to-head. All right, let's take a look. Northern 10 standings now, too. Shane Young said earlier this is kind of a two-pony race. Do you agree, Mr. Jardy? Is it Colonel Crawford and then Carey, who's actually 0-2, but when they get into the league, is it those two and everybody else?
I think it's Colonel Crawford and everybody else. I just haven't seen it from Carey yet this year. I know that this is exactly how last season started too, but it just feels a little different to me for whatever reason. And just the way that Colonel Crawford is, obliterating their opponents. Now, obviously, it'll take Coach talked about that too earlier on the show, that the competition will step up a couple levels here for them, but I still just think it's Colonel Crawford and everyone else. I am surprised how rough of a start I guess they've gotten off to as a conference overall. I mean, you've got 4 teams that are still searching for their first win. I think it's Crawford's to lose.
I really wanted to say that Seneca East could throw a monkey wrench into things, and then I was stunned to see how they performed tonight. Mohawk bounced back. Upper Sandusky, too. I was a little surprised to see that they were able to come back from the beating they took last week.
I was too after watching Mount Gilead, the way they played in week 1. Let's go back. We hosted the media show over at WQEL. Was it a week ago? I don't know. Once we started everything, 2 weeks ago, whatever. Zach Holden of Bucyrus Telegraph Forums, I asked bold predictions. His bold prediction, somebody other than Crawford or Carey will win the Northern 10. What do you think about that?
I think that maybe
I think it's bold.
he had been doing a little day drinking that day before he came over to hang out with Davey and the gang. So no way. No way. That's it. Colonel Crawford just looks like – I think I side way more with Andy, where from what I've seen, and I know that they've played a couple of very overmatched opponents so far, but the whole complement of dudes that they have over there, it's not just a running team this season. McMichael's pretty special. I feel like they've got a quarterback in Baker. Foy has had a proclivity to make big plays every time he touches the football. I cannot see them not at least getting a share.
Well, also, look past week 10. Carey is no longer in the same region as Colonel Crawford. Crawford's in D6 Region 23 with Northmore. How about that matchup? If both these teams continue to play the way they're playing right now, I mean,
that's
the way
a
it's looking,
broadcaster's nightmare, Travis. Those kind of matchups where they're all the same color. It's gonna be tough. But Carey too. The thing that surprises me, these 2 losses have come at home. Like you would have maybe thought that these were on the road, or at least one of them, but they've dropped 2 at home and close too. Usually the home team kind of finds a way to win that at home, but they've had a tough time with the start to this season.
All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at the Firelands Conference, where Monroeville, Western Reserve, they're sitting high and mighty on the throne at the top right now, but will they stay there, Andy Jardy? That's the question. What do you think through 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's an interesting start here in the Firelands Conference. I do think Western Reserve, I mean, they had a very impressive win tonight at Margaretta. They've looked pretty good. I think it's probably between the 2 that are up there right now, Monroeville and Western Reserve. But yeah, it's just so crazy to think. I mean, Travis, I know you were at the St. Paul game tonight, but I mean, there was a time they were consistently going 10-0. To see what has happened now is a head scratcher. And Crestview, obviously,
with
a
injuries,
very
though,
tough
right,
schedule.
With those Flyers, they're kind of beat up.
They lost their main running backs to graduation, and their 2 starting running backs in the second quarter last week against Huron got hurt, did not play today, and then their starting quarterback in the second quarter got hurt, had a crutch next to him on the bench, did not even come back out for the second half. So it's not a good situation right now for St. Paul. But what did they do last year? They started off really slow and then bounced back. It's just how St. Paul does. It's how they go through, just their preparation during the weeks and stuff. So if they can get some of their players back and healthy and go on a roll, I mean, they're St. Paul. They got to do something. However, Monroeville, really good. Western Reserve has the returning rushing champion from the stat leaders as well. He's going to be, I think he's a senior this year. So, I mean, Western Reserve, Monroeville, I think they are the front runners, like Andy said.
And I could potentially see Crestview getting back into the mix here. I don't feel like it's a really strong conference near the bottom. So Crestview, just by that designation, probably going to get 3 or 4 wins there. Can they go toe-to-toe and even beat a St. Paul? I know that it looks like they're down right now, but that's been a really tough one. It's been a burden for them. They beat them 2 years in a row, weren't able to take care of them last year, so I feel like maybe the Cougars could factor in there as well. You don't really want to take what they did last night and put too much stock in that. It's Kirtland. Ain't nobody beats them.
7/10 of the teams in the state of Ohio would put up the same effort against Kirtland. They're just that good. They're freshmen.
7/10.
Their freshmen went and scored against most of Crestview's start. It's just that team is just built from top to bottom like a powerhouse, and the only team that can beat them is Marion Local, who's, like Andy said, has gone 50-0 their last 50 games.
One more league to dissect here, my friends. It is the Ohio Cardinal Conference, and then there was one all alone the top.
Yeah.
The Ashland Arrows, my pick in the media poll to win the OCC, the only team that's 2-0 so far. I don't know if they'll stay there when they start getting into the grind of the league, but I got to say this. I thought the most impressive win tonight outside of Ashland, though, West Holmes beating Orville.
Yeah.
I know that's been a rivalry battle, and Orville was supposed to have one heck of a team this year, so wow.
Yeah, and also the thing, too, with Ashland is, I mean, they are just putting up points like crazy. 41 in week 1, 53 here tonight, both on the road.
Yeah.
We'll see what they do now. These next 3 games are at home. Travis Lindsley, West Virginia, is next up on the docket.
My uncle used to be the athletic director at Lindsley, lived on campus, so I know exactly where it was. I actually know their head coach, BJ Depew, as well. Went to a concert with their starting quarterback, talked about the game. They're excited to make the trip up here to Ashland. Their quarterback's excited to take on the Penn State commit. So, yeah, next week, Lindsley, the Cadets, coming up here to take on the Arrows.
I mean, I just assume everyone from West Virginia knows each other, so that's why I asked you. And, of course, you have, like, 3 different connections or whatever that just was. It's incredible. But, yeah, I mean, Ashland has looked really good tonight. And initially, the score that came out, I thought New Philadelphia beat Steubenville tonight, and that was going to be like, whoa, what have we got going on here? It was a close game, but they did end up losing. But New Philly has not really had any issues transitioning over into the OCC now. And what is this, their 2nd or 3rd year in the OCC? So, yeah, they're hanging in. They're up at the top, and the TY Tigers at 0-2, and they had another tough loss here tonight. In overtime. 20-14, so they've had 2 really tough games right out of the chute. So they're always kind of in the mix there at the end too. But it's been a slow start for the OCC.
Yeah, super interesting that the teams that were predicted the heavy favorites in the league to come out on top, Mansfield Senior and Lexington, both coming out of the gates 0-2.
But they played good opponents.
It's been tough, and of course, it's a whole second season. After we get to week 4, everything changes, and everything that you did before that previously doesn't necessarily matter. Well, actually, it doesn't in the conference standings when you actually start getting into those games. So, I feel like Ashland, just with the quarterback that they had and knowing that it was Scott Valentine's 2nd year, I had a sneaky suspicion they'd be able to score a 50-burger on any given night, Andy. So that's kind of why I chose them. For Lexington and the loss tonight against Shelby, we don't have any highlights for it, Travis, but I wonder if this is a team that maybe was feeling themselves a little bit coming into the year. And I know it's been a couple of tough teams that they've lost to, but sometimes you need a little bit of a wake-up call. Perhaps they got that tonight.
Yeah, hopefully they did get a wake-up call and it doesn't go the opposite way, because sometimes it starts a slide where you can't recover, like quicksand. But you know, they got a really good start in the first half against Ontario until Bogpin took over in that second half, even had that interception. And then going up against Shelby, I mean, it's like Gallion last year. Gallion had that big start, then they faced Ontario and Shelby, kind of dropped them off a little bit. Well, Lexington, they get a taste of the MOAC right off the bat in Ontario and Shelby, 2 of the best in the conference. So we'll really get to see next week what Lexington can do. Can they bounce back after those 2 tough games and get themselves ready for OCC play? Because they still got a playmaker, a wide receiver that can really change things. I think the second best player behind Bogpin Miller, well, maybe 3rd, because you got DeVito at Shelby too, but a really, really good squad they still have. So it'll be interesting to see if they can bounce back next week and then get themselves ready for OCC play, because everybody's still 0-0. Everybody's still in first place in their conference.
Yeah, I think they're at Clear Fork, so one of those 2 teams is going to be 0-3.
Something's got to give.
Yeah. They're at Clear Fork, and I was just going to say, too, that, the tough loss to Ontario that they had in week 1, you wonder, you hate when this happens, but did they let that loss turn into 2 losses? Because, like you said, that game was close for a half. They let it get away. You put a lot of emotion into that rivalry game, and it's tough to come back after losing it. And I wonder if that's something of what came into play here tonight against Shelby. But Shelby's also really good, too. So, just something I was thinking of, that maybe that one loss to Ontario carried over a little bit into this week.
Great work week 2, though, all the way around in the books.
A little warm.
Hey, we sweated through it. We got through, but contractually, guys, I said that I wouldn't be on air after 1 a.m. on this show, so we got about a minute and 10 seconds to try to wrap things up.
I got a kickoff in 11 hours, so I try and get some rest. Jardy, what's the score of the game tomorrow?
For which game? Yours? West Virginia?
West Virginia, Penn State first.
West Virginia wins 28-20.
I'll take it.
We'll go with that.
What about Buckeyes, Akron?
Well,
if it's
Akron's
not 70 to nothing, I'll be
Buckeyes.
disappointed. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the over-under in that game is like 60, but the Buckeyes are favored by like 58. So you can all see where
I
this
actually
is
saw
heading.
the line. I think the line dropped to like 48, 48 and a half, 47 and a half.
Get some action there, boss.
Yeah. Is your brother going to be, is he recovered from getting those Oasis tickets to be able to cover the game tomorrow?
I don't think he is covering the game tomorrow. But my God, is he excited. And I'm excited too, man. It's going to be insane next year, crossing the pond to go see them reunite. Whew, what a day. What a series of emotions it has been. And we're both very excited. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, guys, by now you should have somehow figured out what we got to do. End this thing, baby. That's it for week 2. We'll see you right back here, same time, same place for week 3. Enjoy your weekend.
You and I gonna live forever.
Thanks, Jardy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No problemo.
Oh. I think we're still live.